Hello. As Women's History Month continues, we are hearing from the University of Pittsburgh, where they have a number of events yet to come to round out the month. We'll hear how those events are designed to help tell her story. And Alma Lewis is an emerging hub for contemporary art in Pittsburgh with a focus on Black culture. The executive director joins us today to tell us about their next big project. Plus, a Pittsburgh native who made her mark in the world of high-end interior design is turning a page. We'll tell you how now she's helping people design their lives. So pull up a chair and meet us at the corner. Intersection starts right now. Hello, I'm Lisa Smith, Director of Community Impact at KDKA Plus and the host of Intersections. Well, Women's History Month continues to give us opportunities to celebrate what women bring to the table. They're doing that at the University of Pittsburgh through a series of events presented by the Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. Joining me to talk about some upcoming events is Brooke Spencer. She is on the planning committee for some of these activities at Pitt. So welcome, Brooke, to Intersections.
Good morning.
Yeah.
And good morning to Pittsburgh as well.
Yes.
Thank you for having us today.
Absolutely. It's been a busy month, obviously, and Pitt has done a whole slew of activities, but there's still some time left, so we want to talk about what's left. So one of the things that we saw like in the list of offerings is Women in the Window at the Hines Memorial Chapel. Tell us a little bit about that activity.
Yes, absolutely. Women in the Windows at Hines Chapel is a toured general admission audience. It's a scheduled tour of the Women in the Windows. So there are different politicians, there are different artifacts from our historical society. So let's say Joan of Arc could be one of those women in the windows. There are different types of saints, and there are scheduled viewings through the end of the month, usually twice a week.
Yeah, so you know, there's this focus on women, but these windows date back a while, at least almost 100 years, maybe?
More than 100 years.
Yeah, so kind of tell us a little bit about why maybe it was important to make sure women were interwoven in those stained glass windows.
Absolutely. Throughout history, we've noticed that women are always either behind the scenes or not thoroughly acknowledged all the time. Women in the Windows is the perfect way to display that. It's the perfect way to enmesh the women that are so strong in our lives, that have been strong throughout history, that have contributed to the University of Pittsburgh campus and Hines Chapel. So all of those intersect with this particular tour.
So when you look at those windows, are they hard to kind of pick out, or are they more prominent?
I believe each window is 73 feet. So it will be very large, and it will be very easy to spot which women in the window. And as the tour is guided, they will be able to give you some history on each of those women.
So who does the tours?
It is through the Hines Chapel. I cannot recall what the person is who books the tours, but as long as you go to the Hines Chapel website, you'll be able to schedule a tour online.
So a lot to learn there, sounds
absolutely,
like.
Absolutely.
All right.
A very fun history session.
Yeah, yeah. So the other thing that you guys have coming up is called Her Story Slam, which this is the second year, right?
Yes.
For this? So tell us about that.
This is absolutely a phenomenal event that is encouraging to all of the community support that we have from different community engagement centers, faculty, staff, students. It is open to all women. Yeah. And it is meant for each of these women to share their story, and through their storytelling, they are able to be uplifted and elevated and inspire other women to actually think about what their life's journey is, tell their story, tell their truth, and to be able to speak in front of a very safe environment of other colleagues, other peers, family. So we're really excited about this event.
Yeah, how did this one kind of come about?
That is such an interesting story. So last year was our first inaugural event for the Her Story Slam. It went over so well, and we only had about 3 to 5 weeks to plan it last year. Went off without a hitch. So this year it was so publicly received and so very well acknowledged that we had it this year as well. Yeah. Of course, we had much more time to plan this year, so that we had more time to get these local artists that are willing to share their stories with us, and we have a wonderful lineup of different dialogues for these women to share.
Yeah, so you know, when you talk about women and women's stories, obviously there's a lot of variety there. So
Yes.
what are maybe some of the topics that some of the women will be sharing?
Great question. So we have one artist who will be talking about challenges with bipolar disorder diagnosis. We have someone who, unfortunately, although their topic is very marginalized, it is someone that speaks from the queer perspective. And we have women that are talking about how they have been enmeshed in a patriarchal society and what their struggles have been, not necessarily with English as a first language. We have other women that are speaking about what it means to be a Black female. It's tough alone being a woman, but sometimes when you have, I'm a woman and this and that, it can be so much more pervasive to other people that think they might not be that very well versed.
Yeah.
They might be the only ones with this struggle.
So, you know, are these stories that you think we hear enough of?
Honestly, no. Honestly, no. We have such a variety of stories and such a variety of cultures and diversities that are going to be sharing their stories with us. We're humbled, we are honored that they wanted to be this part of the University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so they're speaking their truths.
They're speaking their truths.
Yeah.
They're speaking their truths.
So are men allowed to come?
Of course, of course. It is open to everybody.
Yeah.
It's just that because this was an acknowledgement of Women's History Month, that is why all the speakers are male. But we definitely acknowledge and recognize everyone is welcome to come.
Were there a lot of women who wanted to be part of this? Like, how were they selected?
There was a general submission call, and these people that were interested in being part of the Story Slam submitted their stories. They gave us an overview of what they were going to be talking about, and it went to a panel of 3 peers. And we all felt they're all wonderful. Let's all have them.
Yeah. Are they, you know, sometimes you hear slam, you hear poetry slam.
Yes.
Is there some poetry or prose, or like how, is everybody's presentation a little different?
Everyone's presentation is a little bit different because their stories are a little different. So I believe we have one musical artist. We have one that is very well known on the storytelling circuit, and then we have a series of people that just wanted to speak their truth.
Well, this sounds very important and something that I'm sure a lot of people will love to take advantage of. So we're going to let you know that the Pitt Her Story Slam is going to be on Thursday, March 28th. It's from 6 until 8 p.m. at the Cathedral of Learning. Of course, women are sharing their stories, and then there's a way to register online. There's a link for that. And so we'll also make sure that we have that on our website. And then Women in the Windows, we have some information on that. Again, as you said, at the Heinz Chapel. Those tours are scheduled tours. It's $10 to go through that?
Yes, general admission is $10.
And again, they have to register to attend that online.
Yes.
All right. Well, Brooke, thank you so much.
Thank
This is great
you.
information and some great programming. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, coming up, we are talking to the leader of a local outlet for contemporary art in Pittsburgh, Intersections. We'll be right back. The intersection of art and equity. That's the thought-provoking goal of Alma Lewis, a contemporary art platform that features exhibitions, artist residencies, and archives of Black creative work. Kilolo Luckett is the founding executive director and chief curator of Alma Lewis, and she joins us today on Intersections. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you know, Alma Lewis sounds like such an intriguing place to visit and just experience. What was your thinking behind starting it? Is it something that we needed here in Pittsburgh?
For sure. I'm formally trained as an art historian and curator, and working in the various different mainstream white-led organizations here in Pittsburgh, I never saw any curator, a reflection of myself. And this is like the past 30 years. And so I've always been wanting to bring world-class artists and curators and writers to Pittsburgh because there was a need for it, and I felt like Pittsburgh was missing out. And so I took the names of 2 of my favorite contemporary artists, Alma Thomas and Norman Lewis, who are basically known as the first Black people to work in abstraction in the United States. And so I took their names and I put them together to make Alma Lewis.
Yeah, I was going to ask how did that name come about? So it's two people with, you know, a significant background in art. So you offer, you know, artists in residency program. Why is that important to give those artists, you know, this opportunity?
Yes, I really believe in supporting artists who are early career artists and mid-career artists, and the work that they do might not be very much in alignment with a lot of the mainstream institutions. And so at Alma Lewis, we really believe in providing this scaffolding to artists of color. And so a residency for 3 months that we provide, it's all this wraparound support. So it's time, space, resources. We have a studio space. We also have a furnished one-bedroom apartment. And then we also provide financial resources and other resources for them while they're here. And so we have partners across the city so the artists can take classes that they might not have been able to do because they are practicing artists. And so there's this time, space, and resources for them to really do a deeper dive, spend time on work that they haven't had the opportunity to do. Yeah. So they can do that here at Alma Lewis.
And the most recent was Cleaver Cruz. Tell us about Cleaver.
Yes, so Cleaver Cruz is our inaugural literary artist, and they started the Black Joy Project, and the Black Joy Project turned into a book, and it was recently nominated for the NAACP Image Award, and they are wrapping up their residency, and it's just been a joy to be working with Cleaver. Cleaver is an excellent writer, great storyteller, has been working on collages while they're in residence with us at Alma Lewis.
Yeah, and next up is going to be Stephen Towns. Tell us about Stephen.
Sure, so Stephen Towns and I have been collaborating for a few years now, and Stephen is based in Baltimore, and it was just here for a site visit because all of the artists, when they come through, they come in first for a site visit to connect with people on the ground so they're not helicoptering in when they come for their residency. And so Stephen Towns is a mixed media. He's a painter, he's also a fiber artist, and he'll be here for 3 months, May, June, and July. And we have a second resident artist as well, Maria de los Angelos Rodriguez Jimenez, who'll be here as well.
Okay. I noticed there was a one of the pieces that he did had Teenie Harris, so he's got some familiarity with the Pittsburgh area already.
Yes, yes, that was part of a show, an exhibition, a traveling exhibition that I curated of Stephen Towns. It was called Stephen Towns Declaration of Resistance, and he had a chance to come to Pittsburgh and access the Teenie Harris archive, and so figured out what kinds of works that he wanted to do, and Teenie was one of the main pillars of the show, and he created this beautiful painting in honor of him and the work that he's done in amplifying Black life in Pittsburgh.
Very nice, very nice. So we talked about exhibits, and you just wrapped up Naomi Sims. Tell me about, I didn't realize that Naomi Sims had, I guess, grown up here in Pittsburgh, but you knew. So what was it about Naomi Sims that you wanted to make sure people saw of her work?
Yes, so Naomi Sims was of my mother's generation. She was born in 1948 and grew up in Mississippi, like I did, and moved up north to Pittsburgh and spent a good part of her career or her young life in Pittsburgh up until the mid-60s, and then moved to New York City. So she attended Westinghouse in Homewood, and when she left for New York City, when she was just 18 years of age, it wasn't until like a year later that she landed on the cover of the New York Times Fashions of the Time supplement, and really catapulted her career as a fashion model. And so all of the work that she's done, from walking the runway to doing editorial fashion spreads in Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. She also launched a very lucrative, very successful beauty cosmetic wig line. She wrote 4 books. This is all in the 70s and 80s. No model, regardless of race, class, had written 4 books about health, beauty, and just the business of being a fashion model. And so I really wanted to tell her story through an installation. And so I've been collecting all different types of ephemera around Naomi Sims over the past, I'd say, 10 years. And I really wanted to do this exhibition in her honor, and especially for the people that knew her here in Pittsburgh while they're still here with us. And so that show wrapped up, and I'm really proud of the outcome of that show.
Well, thank you so much. We're out of time, but we want to put up that people can go to your website to find out a lot more about all the things that are happening with Alma Lewis. Thank you so much, Kilolo, for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, coming up, a Pittsburgh native tells us how she moved from designing spaces to designing lives. Intersections. We'll be right back. Creating beautiful spaces has been the expertise of Tanya Comer for years. She was named one of the top African-American interior designers in the country. But the Duquesne University grad hit what she calls rock bottom. And it wasn't about her surroundings outside, but what was inside. Tanya Comer has written a book about her journey to wholeness, and she joins us now on Intersections. Welcome to Intersections, Tanya.
Thank you, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh is your home.
Yes.
And you got into interior design, and you were really successful. Kind of like, what kind of attracted your eye, in a sense, around interior design?
It was pure luck. I followed breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs that led me to interior design. I was actually climbing the corporate ladder. I had arrived at a place that I believed could have established me into the C-suite not too soon after that. And I discovered interior design purely by happenstance. And I knew at that time that it was necessary that I pursue.
Yeah. And so you were really successful, but then something happened.
Yes.
What happened for you?
I hit what I call my version of rock bottom.
Yeah. What was that like?
It was, of course, in the moment, in the time, it was excruciatingly painful. And I dwelled in it for quite a long time. But it was such an essential and necessary thing for me to go through. Because see, Lisa, I had been, as a child, I had a bullying incident convinced me that I didn't matter. That was the decision I made about my worth, my life, that I didn't matter. And so I had been living like an imposter, a fraud. On the inside, I believed that I didn't matter, but on the outside, I was having all of this success in life. I was named one of the top 20 African-American interior designers. I was married to my Prince Charming. It looked to most people like a fairy tale. But that was actually, I had to fall from grace in order to take off my mask and confront the reality.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you've written a book, I guess, based on that experience. And tell us about what this book, and it's called In High Heels on a Ladder, the 7 Power Tools to Designing Your Life. What are some of those key takeaways that you want women, girls to know that they can do?
Absolutely. I think one of the main things I would like for all women to know is that the very first thing you can do to serve yourself is to know yourself, to know your truth. And I believe many people are hiding behind a mask because we're really afraid to let people see our vulnerability, and we're afraid to confront it ourselves. And so my book is a journey for women to really remove the mask, identify what are the stories that we've been telling ourselves that are false, and own our truth, fall in love with ourselves, and then stand wholly in that power so that we could serve from a full cup, from our full open heart.
Yeah. So we have to be honest basically with ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, stop fooling ourselves, be honest
Absolutely.
with ourselves, and then kind of use that honesty to kind of lead us forward.
Absolutely. And see, the thing about honesty, there's honesty and there's truth. And what my book reveals is that our self-limiting beliefs are a big fat lie. We are capable, powerful, mighty. We are not the beliefs that tell us that we are, not, in my case, I believed I didn't matter. Someone else might feel they're unlovable. Another person might feel they're not worthy. Someone else might feel they're not wanted. Mm-hmm. Those aren't the truth. The truth is that we do have a strength inside of all of us, a design purpose, and we are, at our core, we're love.
And you had a chance to go back to Duquesne and talk with the ladies, the students there also. You know, just real quickly, we're almost out of time, but what was the reaction to them hearing from you?
Oh, it was sensational. First, as an alum, I got to, it's always a gift to be able to give back to the students, so that was great. But to be able to share this message so that students can start earlier in life. Mm-hmm. I was 40 when I hit my version of rock bottom, but to give students an opportunity to do that deep inner work at a younger age, it's a great gift. I hope I left with the students there.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you coming and sharing your story with us. I think we showed the book, but again, it's probably available on, well, there's the book. It's available various bookstores and around the country as well as online. Thank you so much.
Lisa, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes, I appreciate you being here.
It's a pleasure.
All right. And I'll have my last word when we come back. Expression. It's personal, it's emotional, sometimes it's from a deep inner place, and it's often on display all around us. It can be through art, music, style, and design. What's great about expression is you don't have to explain it. It speaks for itself, and it's open to interpretation. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Intersections.